Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. This week we have Emily Bennington Perry, who's going to lead us in meditation. Then we'll have 20 minutes silence. After that, we're going to open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Emily.
Thank you. So nice to be here again. Well, today I thought I would talk to you about your true identity. And the message for today is inspired by the opening line of workbook lesson 224, which is God is my Father and he loves his Son. And the opening line is my true identity is so secure, so lofty, sinless, glorious, and great, wholly beneficent, and free of guilt, that heaven looks to it to give it light. Sounds almost too amazing and remarkable to be real. Heaven looks to your true identity to give it light. And as I read these lines not too long ago, I got very curious about this phrase, your true identity. And so I looked it up, and there's about 87 references in the course to it. And I discovered some things in those references that I want to share with you. So I should say up front that the course teaches that everything you need to know about your true identity comes down to the fact that God created you from his own perfection. If he weren't perfect, he wouldn't be God. You are not outside of God because nothing is, and nothing that is inside of him can be imperfect. And so we're here and we experience ourselves in these bodies because we forgot that. But we get closer to remembering who we really are when we don't think as of God as being in us. He is, of course, but it's more helpful to picture it the other way around. You are in him because you are part of him. And so when workbook lesson 35 reminds us, for example, my mind is part of God's, I am very holy, we should take that lesson very seriously because your mind is part of God's, and that establishes, quote, your true identity and describes you as you must really be in truth. And so, from a course perspective, that's everything. By establishing God as your source, your identity is established as a son of God, and everything else springs from that. And so, when we fall into doubt about ourselves and about anyone else, the only thing that's really happening is that we have made a wrong decision about who we are and who they are. In the manual for teachers, it says self condemnation is a decision about my identity. It's interesting. And also, when I looked up the word identity in the course, I started putting the references into different buckets. And there's three of them that I wanted to share with you. The first is the traits and characteristics of our true identity. The second is how we lose touch with our true identity from a course perspective. And the third is how we can connect back to it. And I'll be very brief with these. But the course says your true identity is eternally shared with God. So the course says it's impossible that God could ever change himself. Therefore, it's impossible that you could lose your identity. If he could change himself or lose his identity, that would change your identity. And since he can't, we don't have to worry about our true nature ever being less than he is. Your true identity is holy. Your true identity is spirit that is lovingly endowed with joy and peace and love. And because of this, your true identity is obviously not a body, but it is, the Course says, as boundless as God's. Your true identity is as boundless as God's. It is forever in perfect peace. It is in heaven. The Course says that God and the Son are in heaven. And since your identity abides in them, where they are, you must be. So your true identity is in heaven. Your true identity is shared with all living things. And so I'll just go through that list again very quickly because I know I talked about them each one individually, and I'll just give them all to you at once. Your true identity is eternally shared with God. It's holy, it's spirit, it's as boundless as God's, it's extending forever in perfect peace, it's in heaven, it's shared with all living things. And of course, as lesson 224 reminds us, it is secure, lofty, sinless, glorious, great, wholly beneficent, free of guilt, and so beautiful that heaven itself looks to it for light. And there's still so much I've left out. But imagine if we could think of ourselves this way. It's extraordinary. So, how do we lose touch with that sense of who we really are as we were created? The Course says that we lose touch with our true identity when we deny God. So again, you're part of God. So to deny Him is to deny your own identity. We lose touch with our true identity when we identify with the ego. The Course says that the ego wants to distract us with all of its goals so that we'll, quote, sacrifice our identity with everything to find the little treasures that the ego considers its own. We lose touch with our true identity when we become a slave to idols, meaning when we search for our fulfillment in the material things of the world. It's an important message for this time of year, holidays, Christmas season. We lose our true identity when we seek after specialness. We lose touch with our true identity when we refuse to join, when we wall ourselves off from other people. We lose touch with our true identity when we don't help one another. The Course is all about how our happiness comes from our own joinings and our connections with other people. And we lose touch with our true identity when we focus on a sick body. And this last one is big because the Course says that we lose touch with our identity when we make the body stronger than truth. When we give our attention to the pain and to the sickness of the body, then what we're doing is we're preserving our ego identity at the expense of our true identity. And so, what can we do to get our sense of true identity back? Well, the Course says that we reestablish our connection to our true identity when we desire that truth be restored to us, and when we desire that we undo our judgments. We restore connection to our true identity when we refuse to be part of fearful dreams, meaning when we stand apart from the effects of the world, but without standing apart from other people or helping other people. We gain our sense of true identity when we allow the Holy Spirit to teach us who we are, when we forgive, when we join with others. And when we can do this, when we desire that truth be given to us, when we desire to undo our judgments, when we refuse to be at the effect of the world, when we ask and allow the Holy Spirit to teach us who we are, when we forgive and when we join, then guess what happens? We come to know ourselves as love and to know ourselves as miracle workers in the world. Lesson 229, love, which created me is what I am, begins with the line, I seek my own identity and find it in these words. Love, which created me is what I am. And so with that in mind, we will go ahead and enter into our meditation period. I have a guided meditation for you today, if that's okay. So if you would please close your eyes. And we'll begin with that line from lesson 229 again. I seek my own identity and find it in these words. Love, which created me, is what I am. And the lesson goes on to say, now need I seek no more. Love has prevailed. Keeping that in mind, let's think of all the things that you consider to be your identity in this world. That thing that if you lost, it would feel like a part of you was gone. Maybe it's a place in your family, person, an achievement, your career. Picture all of that sitting on a table, and then imagine yourself sweeping it all aside and recognizing that there's only one thing that really matters to be placed on that table. And that's who you are as a son of God. It's who you are that is holy beyond all the thoughts of holiness you can even conceive. The holiest place on earth, the holiest building, the holiest object. Can't even come close to your holiness and your true identity. Is shimmering in perfect purity, far more brilliant than any light you have ever looked upon. It's more brilliant than the sun. Its love is limitless. Your true identity has a love with an intensity that holds all things within it in the calm of quiet certainty. Your true identity is an infinite embrace from which nothing and no one is excluded. The strength of your true identity comes not from all the burning impulses which move this world, but from the boundless and unchanging love of God Himself. Imagine being in touch with this true identity and letting it fill you with love, fill you with strength, strength to extend outward with complete security and unquestioned confidence. Imagine putting all of your faith into this identity versus the identity of the world. When you put your desire in this, pray that it waken the truth in you. And I'll leave you for the rest of the meditation in silence. But before I do, I want to read you the lines from the What Am I section of the workbook. I'm going to put it in second person to speak to you directly. This is who you are in the Course. You are God's Son, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of His love. In you is His creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In you is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. You are the holy home of God Himself. You are the heaven where His love abides. You are His holy sinlessness itself, for in your purity abides His own.
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have 15 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, you can raise your hand or you can use um, the electronic hand at the bottom of your screen, and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. Who'd like to share? I'll jump in here. Emily, that was it was beautiful to look at our true identity and to get more clarity on it. Um, do you live in your true identity, or do you to jump in and out from the ego world to your true self?
I think as long as we're in these bodies, we're always jumping from our ego to our true self. The Course says that if we were without an ego, we wouldn't be here. Um, so no, it would not be the truth to say that I don't have moments of being in my ego. I think we all do. But the work is freeing our mind from those judgments, freeing our mind from that bitterness, and trying to get closer to our true selves. What I enjoyed about going through the course and pulling out those references to true identity and saying, okay, well, what does the course say about its nature, how we connect with it, and how we disconnect from it, is you, when you're aware of your own patterns, you can get back to the truth. And I think it's a really helpful thing to say, okay, these are the things that disconnect me from my identity. These are the things that bring me home.
Mm.
So I wish I could live in it all the time. That would literally be heaven, wouldn't it?
What disconnects you from your true identity?
Well, what I was saying in the message was, I mean, I get caught up in judgments and fear and anxiety and a focus on the body as much as anyone. And it helps to just think, you know, these things aren't the truth about me or anyone.
Mm.
And yeah, from that place, you're able to let them go more easily, not get so hooked into all that the ego promises us.
Thank you. Teresa, take yourself off mute.
Thank you, Emily. That was lovely. And I drifted into such a lovely, peaceful state. And then I did what the Course says, don't fall asleep, but I did. I was drifting into no man's land. and and then I suddenly thought, oh, judgment came in. You're not doing it right. so so I suddenly got an image of uh, like I am practicing on just noticing thoughts and like passing thoughts, and so I don't know if that was connected, but I started to see myself in on a sand, a desert, lots of wind blowing, and I was blowing along in this desert. But I was safe because all you guys were here holding my hand, making sure I didn't get lost. So it turned from something that was a judgment into something beautiful. So anyway, thank you to all of you. Thank you, Emily.
Thanks. I love the idea of not forgetting to laugh, you know, when we have these things where it's like, I fell asleep. Yeah, you fell asleep. Okay. You know, no big deal. It's not a statement on your spiritual journey, you know, it's just you fell asleep. No biggie.
Who would like to share? Norman, take yourself off mute.
Thank you very much. I'll try and put into words what happened just before, well, just as the silent piece was coming in and you were still speaking, the phone rang, and I thought, well, what do I do now? Will I just ignore it? And I thought, no, I better answer it. So I went and answered it. Managed to get it postponed, as it were. And no sooner had that happened than another, it rang again, and it was somebody else. And I thought, I don't believe this. Here we are, supposed to be meditating in peace and quiet, and the phone rings twice, not once, but twice. And of course, my ego then had a ball. It kept pestering me about, how are you going to sort this one out? What about all your peace and your joy and happiness now? You can't even do a meditation without getting disturbed by a phone. So it had a feast, but when it did calm down again, the peace returned and said, Norman, these things happen. They're always going to be happening. You're living in a world where you can't escape it. If you escaped it, you'd be in heaven and you wouldn't be any more use to anybody. So it took a while. It took the rest of the meditation period to calm down. But it answered more. It answered more than I could question it. The fact that peace will return if you give it a chance. And if we're all automating people, sort of God will tell everybody what to do. It doesn't work that way. We still have our sort of, although we're all one, there's great oneness, but sort of promised. But while, as you said, while we're here, it's not just quite that easy. But thank you very much.
Thanks, Norm. There was a quote that Helen took down in her notes, and we put it in the CE. And I think, if I'm not speaking out of school, it's about meditation, where Jesus says to Helen, "There'll never be a time when I don't want to try again. You might be gladdened by remembering that." And I love that line because it's just such testimony. He never gives up on us. And we can have the same approach to ourselves and our journey. The phone rang. Try again. You fell asleep. Try again. We can all be gladdened by remembering that. There's never a time he doesn't want to try again. So we can be gentle with ourselves, but keep trying. The only failure is to quit.
Linda.
Thank you, Emily. That was a lovely intro. Absolutely. Everything just touched my heart.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that you also get these triggers. Sometimes I do wonder if other teachers do get these triggers because they don't always mention it.
Yeah.
Yes, and I've been up since 7 o'clock waiting for the bin men to come because I've got I give them a present every year. And I've been so uptight writing the cards and trying to get organized and trying to calm my mind. And this morning, they hadn't come. And just as I came on, the bin men came. I had to rush out, put the bins away, them next doors. But during the morning, from like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock this morning, I managed to put my Christmas tree up. And I feel so much more relaxed now. And your words were just so calming to me that I'm ready now. I feel as though I'm ready to relax and enjoy Christmas now.
Oh, good.
But I do appreciate you saying about your triggers. Thank you for that.
Well, Yeah, I don't subscribe to the idea that just because you teach spirituality, you're free of the limitations and temptations of this world. I I think that it's unhealthy for a spiritual teacher to I mean, I know that there's advancement that we're all seeking, and there are some who are very, very close. But there is a pressure on spiritual teachers to say, well, I have had this ego death, or I have left my ego behind. And I think, you know, you have to be honest about where you are.
Yes, yes. As you say, if we had left it completely bare, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Go like
Yes.
Jesus. Poof.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a
It is.
journey. And we're all on it, making progress in our own ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm so grateful that the message was helpful for you.
They were beautiful.
Good.
Yes, it really, really resonated with me. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Thank you.
What an
And
idea
have a
that
lovely
heaven.
Christmas.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I will. I will. What an idea that heaven looks to our true identity to give it light. I'll never get over that.
Who'd like to share? Evelyn, take yourself off mute.
Thank you, Dan. Emily, thank you. It's always so beautiful just to have those reminders. For myself, I call it my little humanness, and I think of it as a very small child. And so as I get older, it's easier to take myself less seriously. But there's still enough there. There's lots of homework, as I call it. But I don't take it too serious. I just think, well, we are part of the divine. We always will be, and there's nothing we can do to undo it. Yes, it helps me to be more gentle with myself, having been brought up fairly strict religion. I'm just so grateful for the course and all of the lovely teachers and the Miracle Network, which is just to me a miracle in itself, spreading out that lovely light and to all of us and to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are or what being you are. There we are in the light of God and the love of God. So I just love it. And thank you so much. Bless you. Bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope that the teaching not only makes you more gentle with yourself, but more gentle with other people as well. Because if we can just look past the body and all its misadventures, look past personalities to the truth of who we are, then we'll be more loving, we'll be more miracle working in the world. And that's what we're here to do. That's the real journey that we're on. It's not the accumulation of things to make the body more comfortable. It's the sharing of love that makes the world a better place.
Yes, yes, indeed. Thank you, Emily. And yes, you're right. This is about how we interact with others and think of others. And I still get my trigger points, lots of them, with sometimes silly things. But what I find now is that it's more easy to let it go and more quickly. And, thanks to the course and the teaching, it just seems to evaporate then. And I realize this, it's not important. So it's easier. It's still there. But yes, homework's still there. But yeah, just softer, just softer. Thank you. Thank you indeed.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time together. Thank you, Emily. That was wonderful. And
you, Dan.
Step off mute, show your appreciation to Emily.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you,
Have
Emily.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you
have
very
a
much.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
See you.